Lucky launched its new color film on July 17th of 2025. So why aren't you able to get it at your local camera shop yet?
Kodak presents a breakthrough in color photography.
When you get just the one you want, it makes it easier to share the others.
Fuji Super HR, the world's most developed film.
A little bit of background before we get into the actual film itself. Lucky Film Company is by no means a new player in the film industry. They were actually established in 1958 with the help of the Soviet photographic industry. They also worked with Kodak from in between the years 2003 and 2007 and made Gold 200 for them. In 2011, China Lucky Film Group merged with China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporations, and they continued to make film for them until around September 2012. In 2017, the Lucky film that we're familiar with started production on Lucky new SHD 100 black and white film. Now, new Lucky Color 200 was announced in June of 2024, and technically speaking, it still hasn't released at least outside of the Chinese market. Plans were announced for the film to be released in the first half of 2025, but then that got rolled back to Lucky focusing solely on the Chinese market with no release date announced for the US market. The only way that I know to purchase it outside of China is by getting it through Reflex Labs. I heard that another website sold it, but I also heard that they were $3 or $4 more expensive than Reflex. So at that point, you may as well just go with Reflex. Speaking of price, Lucky's original goal with this film was to make it the cheapest on the market. I was hearing rumors of about a $5 price tag floating around. And at the official launch event in China, it was released at about 59 yuan. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. And that equals out to roughly about 822 USD. Now, while that is a little far off from the $5 mark, you also have to take into account that in China, Lucky is also offering free developing, scanning, and prints included in that price tag of 822 American. That is still an amazing value when you take into account that in America, at least in SoCal, I can't find a roll of film cheaper than $10 a roll, and that's just for film, right? You also have to take into account developing, scanning, and printing costs, and roughly that's going to be about $10 at each step, give or take, depending on where you go. So you're looking at about $40 per roll if you want prints as well, whereas with Lucky you're looking at 822 period, at least in the Chinese market. So to me, while they weren't able to hit that $5 mark, I mean, if that value were offered to me, I would exclusively be shooting Lucky after a certain point. The film has been selling, as far as I've been made aware of it, on Reflex Labs website. They've sold out 3 times and restocked twice. So if you're not able to go get a roll of it today, don't worry about it. It'll be back in stock soon. Personally, I'm always excited to try out a new film, but I was extremely excited about this one in particular because I'd been following it since January of 2025. And by the time I got my hands on it, it was about November-ish. It was late 2025. So I had a good year that I was following this, and I honestly didn't know that if or when I was ever going to be able to shoot this film. So to be able to finally load it into a camera was an amazing feeling. And I didn't just load it into one, I loaded it into 2 cameras. For 35mm, I shot this with my Canon Elan 7 and a 50mm Mark II, which I no longer have. I upgraded to this 50mm STM. And for 120, I used this folding Agfa J-Select V or 5. Be on the lookout for a video on this camera. I don't want to say soon, but just be on the lookout. Both rolls of film were shot at box speed, with the 35mm roll being developed and scanned at 19-minute Photo Lab, and the 120 roll being developed and scanned at Tuttle Cameras, with no edits being done on my part.
When the picture is taken, the Fresnel moves, elevating the taking mirror so that the image that had fallen onto the retina of the photographer's eye is reflected onto the film.
You can do this, or this, or this. You can load a Fuji drop-in load camera.
Hey, look, a tour. Should we do it? Yeah. Okay. Do you need film? No, I'm okay.
New Max Versatility Plus is Kodak's most versatile film ever.
The 35mm has a moderate to fine film grain, while the 120's grain is just mwah, is just buttery, it's beautiful. I know this lens is soft, but I don't feel like that impacts the grain itself. And I've heard of the difference in between 35mm and 120's grain, but seeing it and experiencing it is just two completely different things. Color-wise, the film has a preference towards red, which can cause it to look a bit warm occasionally, and in my opinion, I feel like it does have some slight desaturation in the greens. Something to point out about the 35mm is the sharpness of the film. Not to say that I was expecting the film to be soft, but this film is just extremely sharp, at least when I'm not shaking the camera. And something to note with the 120 is all of the dark spots that appear on the negative. They primarily appear in the sky, but in some pictures they do just kind of appear all over. From what I understand, this was something that the first batch of the 35mm was experiencing as well, but by the time that I got my hands on the 35mm, those kinks had already been worked out. I guess they haven't been with the 120, but to be fair, Lucky also hasn't technically announced that they're making the 120, so this could be their beta batch, so to speak. Editing Juan here. So I'm putting together the video and I am going to go grab background elements for B-roll, and I went to go grab a screenshot for a quote that I'm about to use and you're about to see. And it turns out that Reflex has taken down their review that they did of Lucky C200, which is very interesting. I'm not sure if that's significant, but I find it very curious. So I just wanted to make that note. I don't know what that means. I just found it significant. Just wanted to point that out. This is a quote from Reflex Labs. Now this has to do specifically with the 35mm, but this does now, as we see in the negatives, apply to the 120. One noticeable defect with this batch due to the manual coding process is the presence of tiny white and blue dots on many frames. Lucky has acknowledged the issue and promised that it will be resolved once they move to machine coding in future batches. What I'm assuming there is that Lucky has been able to move to machine coding for their 35mm, but not just yet for their 120. I'm fully confident that they're going to be able to move to machine coding with their 120 soon, but until then, the black spots on the negatives are something to be aware of. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this film. If it were a bit easier to get a hold of, I could definitely see myself shooting this above Kodak's consumer films or new Fuji, both 35mm and 120. But until it launches in America, I'm not going to be able to shoot it as much as I would like to. If you can, I absolutely recommend going over to Reflex Labs and trying a couple of rolls out. Just see what your scans and prints look like. You never know, this might be your next favorite film. With that being said, that's all for me. I apologize if my voice sounds different. I am sick. I've been fighting off something, but I have also been wanting to make this video for a very long time. And I'm very glad that I was able to make this film, or this video rather, but golly, it was not easy making this. So I hope everything translated well. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was entertaining. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And no matter what you're shooting, 35mm, digital, 120, Instax, Polaroid, whatever it is, go out there, keep shooting, stay creative, and go tell someone you love them. I'm out. I need to go lay down and get some rest. Golly.
What makes a memory so special is that it happens only once, and then it's gone.